Buddy Bomar. Come on out, buddy. How you doing?
Very good, very good. I'm going to have to do good today. I've got a very, very tough guy here.
I was going to ask you if you brought the four-leaf clover and the rabbit's foot along with you.
I'm going to need them all.
Okay. This guy, I told you last week, won the U.S. doubles with Joe Willman when he was 20 years old. I was just a year off. He was only 19 when he combined with Joe to win that. In 1953, they successfully defended it that same year against Don Carter and Fred Bujak. He was the runner-up in the ABC All Events in 1954. He is just 20 years old now. Carmen Salvino, come on out. How you doing?
All over your feet even.
Listen, better treat me nice. I've got influence around here.
You got the money, too.
Yes, I have. Shall we tell him how it works?
Yeah, you might as well.
Okay. Total pins, Carmi, over the three-game set determines the winner. The winner gets $200. The loser gets $100. In addition to which, there's $25 on each game, so you could win $275. And the least you can go out with, Buddy made a point of this last week, is $100. In addition, if you shoot a perfect game, a 300 game on the show, it's worth $1,000 to you. Is that agreeable?
All right, me.
Okay. Who won the toss?
I did.
You did.
I choose a LA 5 to start
You
on.
choose 5 to start on and finish on 6. You knew he was going to do that, didn't you?
That's right.
Good luck to both of you. All right, let's go to it.
Hey, Carmi, good luck.
Well, last week, Buddy Bomar won the toss and elected to start on 5 and finish on 6, but the shoe was on the other foot this time, and Carmen Salvino won the toss. And, of course, like all good classic leaguers, except possibly Robbie Robinson, he has chosen to start on 5, finish on 6. And he has chosen to start us out with a strike, too, a good, big, noisy one. Boy, oh, boy, those pins just blew off of that pin deck as though they'd been hit with a load of buckshot, didn't they? All right, a strike for Carmen Salvino. Buddy Bomar on 6. Took a little time to go down, but it did. So Buddy Bomar matches that strike, and Clarence Gels marks the dash, which means that we're all even thus far in this match. Boy, this is going to be a good one. Buddy has seen this wild-eyed kid come up. He fell into the Classic League when he was only 17 years old in 1951-52. No, sir. Buddy can't make a double here as the 7-pin stands for him there, and he's going to have to settle for a spare here. Buddy, of course, is much Carmi's senior, almost enough to be his father, 38 years old, 5'10", 160, born and raised in Ardmore, Oklahoma, raised for most of his years in Texas, now lives in Chicago. After the 7-pin, and has it for his spare. So, wait a minute, Clarence, down below for Bomar. Bomar got the spare. So that'll give Buddy 20 through the first, and that spare going for him. Carmen Salvino has the single strike. On 6. Put another X to it, Clarence, and we've got it. A double for Carmen Salvino. So now, Carmen, stringing that double against Buddy Bomar's strike and spare, has a lead of 10 pins. 1 mark, that +1 under Salvino's name there, means he is up 1 mark, and a mark is worth about 10 pins, give or take a few on either side. That'll help you to keep track of this score visually. Carmen now on 5. Ooh, he's in too high. Boy, and he's got a 4-6 rail firing him in the face, and there's nothing you can do about that. So there is the first break in this game, and it goes against Carmen Salvino, as that rail is just well-nigh unsplittable. Here in Chicago, I don't know about your community, we call them rail splitters if they convert on these. Carmen, whoa! Man, he almost did it. He went for broke on it, and he almost got it, but not quite. So it's open frame for Carmen Salvino, and he's got 56 through the third, and Buddy Bomar with 20 through the first and a spare up has a glorious opportunity to really move down his throat now on 6. Oh, boy, and Buddy is in too high, and he's got the 4-10 staring him in the face, and Buddy, as he did last week, is fishing here on alley 6. And Buddy's got an open to deal with now. This one is an easier open, an easier rail. and then Carmi had this 410. You can get a better angle on this to try to slide it over. See if Buddy can do it. Oh, no, a little too much hook, but it was a good try. It was a good try. I thought for a second he was going to get it, but he couldn't. So each man has had an open in the third frame, both on railroads. And Carmen Salvino with 56 to Buddy's 46 still leads by exactly 10 pins as Buddy moves over to 5, and they both need strikes now to compensate for this. On 5. And it's a strike for Buddy Bomar. So, Buddy Bomar starts out with a strike, and that gives him 46 through the third, and that strike working for him, Carmen Salvino with 56 through the third and a 10-pin lead. Carmen Salvino, who has Mr. Bomar, whom he undoubtedly looked up to, as all kid bowlers do, down 10 pins right now on 6. Louis, he really bangs them, doesn't he? All right. Gives Carmi 56 through the third and a strike working for him, matching Buddy Bomar's 46 through the third and a strike going for him, and Carmen Salvino still leads by 10 pins as he moves over to alley 5. 20 years old, 6 feet 2, 186, born and raised in Chicago, a kid sensation of our town now. And you see why. A double for Carmen Salvino. Boy, he can be rough. Giving him 56 through the third and that double going for him. Buddy Bomar with 46 through the third and a single strike. And Buddy's got to match it to keep pace. He's down 10 pins. Captain of the famous Jockey Cooper team in the Classic League. That's it. Boy, he just put enough tail to that, didn't he? Just enough tail to it, and Buddy's got 46 through the third and that double going to Carmi's 56 through the third and a double going. And Buddy is going to have to string another one here to try to keep pace or maybe make a dent. Each man with an open on a railroad in the third frame. Right in on the nose, and he leaves the 3-6-10 standing. Actually, Buddy seemed to me to be just a little to the left side of that head pin on a crossover, which undoubtedly kept him from catching a rail there. So it's a spare if he can get it. And this is a kind of a poison ivy type lineup here, 3-6-10. Can he? Yep, he's got them all. That's a hard one to shoot at. Have to go all the way across alley for it. So Buddy's got 93 through the fifth, and that's spare up. Carmen Salvino with 56 through the third and a double, and Carmi can make hay here on 6. And does. It's a turkey for Carmen Salvino, and boy, now he's starting to cut in a little bit. 86 through the fourth and a double out in front of him, and he leads now by 23 pins in this game. Incidentally, you'll notice that Clarence Gales filled in the first of those 3 strikes. We are doing that for the benefit of those in our audience who don't understand scoring too well. The bowlers are agreed to it, so you experts who are probably screaming bloody murder, let up on us. On 5. All right, got it. It's a 4-bagger for Carmen Salvino. Hey, boy, this is going to be a pretty good score here. 116 through the fifth and 2 out in front of him. Buddy Bomar with 93 through the fifth and a spare up. Buddy down 23 pins, and he can fire even farther behind on 6. All right, that's a good one. That's a good way to keep pace. But Buddy's score through 6 frames is 113 with a strikeout in front of him, and Carmen Salvino now leads him by 33 pins. Buddy needs all the strikes he can get here and a little help from Carmen Salvino besides. Buddy on 5. Got him all for a double. So Buddy Bomar with 113 through the 6th and that double working for him. Carmen Salvino with 116 through the 5th and a double working for him. He's a 4-bagger right at the moment. Right in on the head, woo, on the nose, and he leaves the 3-10 rail standing, which can be made, but which has to be a perfect shot in order to accomplish. So Carmi now has caught 2 rails, one of which he may be able to convert on. It stopped his string at 4 straight strikes. You've got to fit right in between these two babies, and although they don't look very far apart, they are miserable to hit. And he missed the 3, and so it is another open for Carmen Salvino, and boy, that brings him back to the field again. So Carmi now is stopped with 172 through the 8th frame, and that lead has dropped to a mark now, to 9 pins, as Buddy Bomar has 113 through the 6th and a double out in front of him. Carmi now in the 9th frame on 5. And he's light. He's light that he leaves the 4, 7, 8 standing. So Carmi's chance to come back here big after this. He could still have had a 2-32 game is kind of gone a glimmering. If he can get this spare, it will still give him a 2-22 possibility, and I'll settle for that. And he's got him. He's got him. Gee whiz, I thought he was going to break those pins, didn't you? So it's 172 for Salvino through the 8th, and that spare up. And Buddy Bomar has his glorious opportunity now. 113 through the 6th and a double. On 6 in the 9th frame. There it is. There it is. A turkey for Buddy Bomar. And boy, he's got a chance now. With 143 through the 7th and that double out in front of him to Carmen Salvino's 172 through the 8th and a spare up. And we are all even. As a matter of fact, Buddy Bomar has a 1-pin advantage here. And Buddy, if he can keep going, can shoot 233, what Carmen Salvino could have had. Oh, and there stands the 10-pin. Well, there goes the 233 game. Man, oh man, but for 1 pin, and it cuts down Buddy's possibility now to 212. Man, oh man, you can just lose them so fast, can't you? After the 10 for 1 more shot. Has it for his spare. So Buddy Bomar now has 192 through the 9th, and that's spare in the 10th, giving him 1 more ball, and if he can get everything on this one, he's got a 212 game, which will still be enough to match Carmen Salvino, but no more, assuming Carmi is lucky enough to strike out. Oh, leaving the 7-pin standing, so he got 9 pins on that, and a 211 game. And it's still some shooting. Buddy Bomar with 211. Carmen Salvino with a chance to top him by 1. There's the first one. All right, that gives Carmi that first big strike in the 10th. Carmen Salvino with 192 through the 9th and that first big strike. And if he can get all 30 of those pins there, it can be a 222 game. Hey, wait a minute. I was misfiguring there by 10 pins. He can get 222. Well, this can really be big. Oh, and the kingpin, a 5-pin stand. So there goes Carmi's 30 pins in the 10th frame. And that will cut him back to 20 pins, and that will wind him up with the 212 that I erroneously cited as his maximum possibility. Notice that Carmi takes 15 steps, an extremely high backswing. Watch him now. See there? Oh, boy, oh, he just got that for 20 pins in the 10th and a 212 game. And the winner of the first game, 212 to 211 by 1 pin, is Carmen Salvino over Buddy Bomar. We'll be back with the presentation of money in just a minute after we have had this interesting message. Well, I thought for a moment there we were going to have to hold this 25 over and add it to the 25 for the next game and let him go for 50. But as it turns out, the winner of the first game, 212 to 211 by 1 pin, Carmen Salvino. $25 for you, Carmi. Were you just trying to keep it even there so it'd be interesting
No, I wasn't.
down to the
Paul
wire?
fooled me as much as it fooled everybody else.
Is that so?
sure. I thought I was going to make it solid and things just start to wiggle, look like a fish, and then barely got there.
Well, you can't have very many wiggling around down there against this guy, can you?
That's for sure.
Okay, let's see how you do in the second game. Carmen Salvino. Well, we thought we had a close match last week between Eddie Kowalik and Buddy Bomar, but this one bids fair to be even tighter. Salvino on 5. A strike for Carmen. As we start down the line here, and Buddy Bomar moving over to 6. We'll have to match it. Trailing 212 to 211. Buddy Bomar, who's been in 13 All-Star tournaments. And that's the strike to match it by Buddy. This fellow ties Joe Willman in this record. Each has been in the final 9 times, and this is a record, too. Joe held his 1,000th game in the All-Star in 1954 and was presented with a trophy for it. Buddy on 5 now. Too high in the pocket, and he leaves the 6-10 standing. So Buddy's going to have to settle for a spare here if he can get it. Speaking of the All-Star, Buddy won that great event, the World Series of Bowling, as you probably know. In the 1944-45 season, he averaged 208 in 64 games. Got 'em both for his spare. Well, Buddy Bomar starts out with that strike and spare, giving him 20 pins through the first and a spare up. Carmen Salvino started out with a strike, and if he strikes on 6, he's off and away. He's crossing over, and he came in too high and leaves the 10-pin standing. That's the 6 that's rolling around down there, and the only difference between that and Buddy Bomar's is, hey, is it going to get it? No. So, Carmi will have to shoot for just the 10, whereas Buddy had to shoot for the 6-10. And we're going to have a duplication here. All the way across, and got it. For his spare. Gee, he set that down right at the corner of the alley, didn't he? So, Carmen Salvino has 20 through the first and a spare up. Buddy Bomar, 20 through the first and a spare up, and Carmi continues to lead by that 1 pin. This youngster started out with the Alcazar Hotel team in the Classic League when he was just 17 years old. They spotted him in 51-52 and said, "Come here, we need you." Holy mackerel. Well, you've heard the expression 10-pin tap, and you'll never get a better example of it than that one right there. Man, what a noisy blast of a strike that was, and the 10-pin didn't even wiggle. Carmi said that ball was wiggling down there, but he couldn't make that 10-pin wiggle. So Carmi will have to settle for another spare. And has it. Giving Carmen Salvino 39 pins through the second and a spare up. Buddy Bomar with 20 through the first and a spare up. Buddy moving over to 6 now, and he's got his chance to move away a little bit. This fellow who stands 9th in All-Star average. That's it. Oh, that's the one that will pick up that 1 pin he was down and more. Buddy Bomar now with 40 pins through the second and a strike working for him to Carmen Salvino's 39 through the second and a spare up. And if Buddy can keep striking, he, being now even on the set, can add 10 to it. And gets it. A double for Buddy Bomar. And now Buddy with 40 through the second and a double working for him. Carmen Salvino with 39 through the second and a spare up. And 6. Oh, boy, he got good action on that. That was a little light. It didn't have much tail to it. But it had good spiller action. And Carmi strikes and gives him 59 through the third and that strike up. But he is down now. As you see, 11 pins. So Carmi's lost the one he had, and he's 10 back for the set. On 5. Oh, that's got it. And the 10 went down that time. And so Carmi, with his double, has 59 through the third, and those two strikes going for him. Buddy Bomar with 40 through the second, and a double working for him. Buddy leading by 10 pins for the set. 1 in this game. That's it. A turkey for Buddy Bomar. So Buddy now shows 70 through the third and a double out in front of him to Carmen Salvino's 59 through the third and a double out in front of him. Buddy continues to lead by those 11 pins in this game, 10 for the set. Buddy moving over to 5 now. He takes the full 16-foot approach. Incidentally, I think I said Carmen Salvino took a 15-step approach. Ridiculous, of course. That's it. That's it. A four-bagger for Buddy Bomar. Hey, he's starting to string him now, and that gives Buddy 100 through the fourth and a double out in front of him to Carmen Salvino's 59 through the third and a double. He takes a 4-step approach, 15 feet to the Mets. No, he was too light, and he's got the 5-7 standing against him. So Carmen Salvino will have to shoot to get this. It can be done. It can be done if you can catch that 5 right. It'll slide over real nice. Incidentally, we've had calls from time to time talking about me disturbing the bowlers through the magic of amplification. They can't hear a word I say. You do, but they don't. How about it? How about it? No, too solid. And he couldn't get it, and it's an open frame for Carmen Salvino. And this is the first real break in this game, and it's going against the youngster, giving him 115 through the sixth. Nothing working for him. Bomar has 100 through the fourth and a double out in front of him, and Buddy now lead by 35 pins. Carmi on 5. That's it. That's the way to come back from those railroads, and that's the way he's doing it. 115 through the sixth, and that strike working for him. Buddy Bomar with 100 through the fourth and a double working for him. He leads by 35 pins in this game, 34 for the set on 6. Ooh, in on the head. Ooh, and Buddy, just by a great stroke of fortune, did not catch a railroad there, and he has the 6-10 only to deal with, and a spare possibility. So, he can get it. If he can get it, he'll lead by 29 pins still. After the 6th. And there it is. He's got it. So that'll give Buddy Bomar 148 through the 6th, and that spare going, and he now leads, I said 29, stretch that to 33 pins. He leads by 33 in this game, 32 for the match. On 5. Just got up in time. He just wheeled that one in time. And so Buddy now has 168 through the 7th, and that strike going for me. For Carmen Salvino with 115 through the 6th and a strike. A beautiful hit, too, but the 10-pin is standing. And Carmi's chance to get a double here and get right back in this party is gone now. Carmi down by 33 pins here. 32 for the match. This youngster moved to the Chapin and Gore team in the Classic League in 52-53. That's it for his spare. And that gives Carmi then 135 through the 7th, and that spare up. Buddy Bomar with 168 through the 7th and a strike going. Buddy still leading by 33 pins here, 32 for the set. And Mr. Salvino had a 211 average that year in his second year in the Classic League. Boy, they all went down that time, didn't they? Well, Carmi now has 155 through the 8th, and that's strike working for him. To Buddy Bomar's 168 through the 7th, and a strike up. Buddy Bomar, who can really have a big game here if he can keep rolling. Except that Buddy has to finish on 5. In the 9th frame on 6. High, and he leaves the 3-6-10 standing. Boy, oh boy, and that one looked as though it might have railroad written all over it. But he didn't, so he's got the poison ivy cluster down there to try to take. This, of course, cuts into his possibility and gets him down in the 230s if he can go from here. No! Oh, man. But he slipped on his delivery there, and it's an open for him on a blow. And there's our first error in this match. And Buddy is open in the 9th frame, giving him 196 through the 9th and nothing to help him with at all. And the best he can do now is 226. Buddy had a 258 game working there. Now, if he can go the route, he can still make it 226. Boy, how you can fall. Oh, there's one up. There's one up. And if he can come back after this, it will still be a glorious comeback, but it gets him into Carmen Salvino's range now. 196 through the 9th, and the first strike. And this next one is the one that will tell the story. If he gets this, there is hope. Carmi can have 215, which would keep him pretty close. That's 2 up. That's 2 up. And now Buddy is just a matter of count. He's got those 2 big strikes and 20 pins already, which jumps him to 216. And if he can get the full count here, he's up to 226. Oh, he leaves the 10 pin standing. But he picked the right shot in the 10th frame for that one to stand, and he gets a count of 229 here to give him 225 total. And now Carmen Salvino has the pressure on him on 6. Too high in the pocket. And Carmi leaves the 4-7 standing, so Carmi's chance of a 215 game is gone. Had he been able to string that, he would have had only a 9-pin deficit going into that 3rd game, which would have kept him close enough. But as it is now, Carmi's biggest total is 195. 4-7 if he gets them. He does. 4, spare and another shot in the 10th frame. So that gives Carmi 175 through the 9th, and one more shot, he can have 195 here, which will put him 30 pins away for this game and 29 for the set. Still not too far away. Still close enough. And that's it. That's it. For a good finish. And Carmen Salvino with 195. But the winner of the 2nd game, 225 to 195, is Buddy Bomar over Carmen Salvino. And we'll be back for that big 3rd one just as soon as we have had this important message. Winner of that 2nd game, 225 to 195. He leads now 436 to 407 by 29 pins. Buddy Bomar.
I want to thank you, Joe. All right, if I can do it again, huh?
I think you're going to have to scratch a little bit to hold it, don't you?
Yeah, you never know when this guy's going to throw in one of those 279s or 280s.
Well, we'll wait and see.
Well, I hope not.
Good
Anyway.
luck. Okay. And Buddy said it only because it is so very, very true. This wild-eyed Salvino, you never know what he's likely to do. The ability is there, and there's just enough dash and determination and adventuresome spirit, so he could do it on 5. There's one. There's one. Carmen Salvino starting out with a strike. He needs to make up 29 pins. He has to have 30 to win, and that's one way to get him. Buddy Bomar moving over on 6. His job will be to keep clean if he can, stay away from the opens and strike often enough to keep his lead. And that's one. That's one. Matching Carmen Salvino. As long as he can match Carmi, he's safe. So each man has a strike, and Buddy preserves that 29-pin edge. I told you back in the 2nd game that he was 9th in the All-Star average. This is for participants in 3 or more All-Star events, and that average is 202.645. Think of that. Over the 13 he's been in. That's going, isn't it? That's got it. It's a double for Buddy Bomar. And this fellow who can hang on like mad is going to be tough to unseat. Carmen Salvino with a single strike to Buddy's double. On 6. That's it. Oh, they blew around down there, didn't they? And so it's a double for Carmen Salvino. And we're still all even in this game, and Buddy's 29-pin lead still holds up. Now, Carmi moving over to 5. He's got to have everyone he can get. And he's had big games and big series, this kid. He shot 276 in 1958. On a beautiful hit, the 10-pin stands, and so Carmen Salvino is going to have to settle for a double and a spare here if he can get it, which Buddy was talking about, the 279. It still has 279 in the making if he could go on from there. His big series in 1950 was 686. 10. That's got it. It's got it. So Carmen Salvino has 49 pins through the second, and that's spare up. Buddy Bomar with a double working for him. Buddy leading by 29 pins on the set. If he strikes here, he'll move away further. Right on the nose. Wow. And he's got a 3, 6, 7, 10 railroad. Holy mackerel, what an awful assortment that is. And so everything gets strangely quiet and very even now. Even if Buddy were able to convert this mess, he would still be down a matter of 3 pins. A 3, 6, 7, 10. You don't very often see this with these guys. How about it? He's got him! Holy mackerel, how do you like that? How do you like that for shooting? Well, we call it championship bowling, and there's one of the reasons. And Buddy Bomar converts that thing, and he's down only 3 pins right here in this game and still leads. Boy, oh boy, by 26. On 5 now. And then he leaves the 7 pin standing. Well, wow. You can excuse him if he was a little rattled on that one and missed the pocket after that tremendous shot on 6. That's the thing Buddy simply cannot afford to have anything of, and that is that open frame. As long as he can keep clean, he's got a prayer to stay ahead of this kid. After the 7. Then he's got it. Or he's spare. So Buddy Bomar has 65 through the 3rd and a spare up. Carmen Salvino with 49 through the 2nd and a spare up. On 6. And on the Brooklyn, he strikes. And so Carmi has 69 through the 3rd, and that strike working for him. And he leads by 4 pins in this game. He trails now by 25 in the match, but with a strike against Buddy Bomar's spare, he can cut into that even deeper if he can double here. On 5. And that's it. That's it. Boy, oh boy. So now Carmen Salvino has 69 through the 3rd, and that double going for him. Buddy Bomar with 65 through the 3rd and a spare up. Buddy Bomar, who's got to bowl. He's got to bowl. He's down by 4 pins in this game. He leads by 25, but he can go farther. Boy, he wound that up beautifully, didn't he? Gosh, that was a good strike. Perfect angle on that hook. So Buddy Bomar now has 85 through the 4th and a strike working for him. Carmen Salvino, however, with 69 through the 3rd and a double going for him, now leads Buddy by 14 pins. Buddy, however, still leads by 15 on the set. If he can double here, he can hold it. And he can, and does. Buddy Bomar with 85 now through the 4th, and that double working for him. Carmen Salvino with 69 through the 3rd and a double going for him. Carmen leading by 14 here, trailing by 15 for the set. On 6. That was a noisy one, wasn't it? And it's a turkey for Carmen Salvino. So he's still in the battle with 99 through the fourth and a double working for him to Buddy Bomar's 85 through the fourth and a double going for him. Carmen still leading by 14 in the game, trailing by 15 for the match. If Buddy Bomar could win this one, he would join Eddie Kowalik. That's one of the two men who has defended successfully twice. Joe Christoph defended 3 times. It's a 4-bagger for Carmen Salvino. That gives him 129 through the fifth and 2 out in front of him. Buddy Bomar with 85 through the fourth and a double going for him. And Buddy's got to strike to keep this 14-15 pin edge. He's light, and he leaves the 2 standing. So 2-5 there, and the 5 pin couldn't quite get back to take that 2. So this brings him back closer to the field, and now Carmy's got a chance to catch him. Buddy needing that 2 pin to mark. And has it for his spare. Buddy Bomar now has 134 through the 6th and a spare up, but Carmen Salvino has 129 through the 5th and a double out in front of him. And Carmy is now leading by 25 pins, and he was only 29 down going into the set, so he's 4 away. Buddy holding that 4-pin margin. Wow. On 5. Everyone he can get here. Buddy now with 154 in the 7th, and that strike working for him. Carmen Salvino with 129 through the 5th and a double working for him. He's strung 4 in a row on 6. Oh, he's light, just as Buddy was, and he leaves the 2 pins standing also. So Carmy's chance to pick up those last 4 pins must be delayed for a moment at least. Carmy's string ending at 4, and this will give him his 2nd spare in the game. Buddy Bomar has had 3 spares in this game. One a conversion of a 3, 6, 7, 10 rail. Gives him that 2nd spare. So Carmen Salvino now has 178 through the 7th and a spare up to Buddy Bomar's 154 through the 7th and a strike going for him. Carmen leading by 24 pins in this game and trailing by 5 for the set. On 5 in the 9th frame. A strike here, and he's still alive. That's just what he got. Just what he got. It's a big game still working there. Carmy with 198 through the 8th, and that big strike, and he can have a 248 game here. Buddy with 154 through the 7th, and a big strike for him. Buddy could have even a bigger game than that. There's the one he had to have in the 9th frame. So Buddy Bomar with 154 through the 7th and a double working for him. And Buddy is still trailing by 24 pins here, but he leads by 5 for the match. Now he moves on to LE5 in the 10th frame. And oddly enough, you would consider this a disadvantage, but actually Buddy's been bowling better on 5 than he has on 6. But he's got to strike out to hold it. Oh, he's in too high. Holy mackerel, and he's got the 4-6-10. A 4-6-10 rail. But he lofted that one. He looked to me as though he kind of charged a little bit at the foul line, and he's over here looking at the score. Oh, boy. And, this is an almost impossible rail. Almost impossible, and he gets the 6-10, and it's an open. And it's an open, and it's Buddy's last shot in the 10th frame. So he gets 200 there and 209 on the count. And now Carmy's chance is here, and he catches an 8-10. Holy mackerel! And Carmen Salvino on his first ball catches an 8-10, which is just about as impossible as what Buddy had there, the 4-6-10. Holy mackerel! So Carmy, if he can get one of these, has got 19 here. And couldn't. And so he winds up with an open in the 10th frame, too. Carmen Salvino then Winds up with 226 to Buddy's 209, and it isn't enough. So we'll be back in just a moment for that presentation to tell you the full story. The story here on this third game is Carmen Salvino, the winner, 226 to 209 over Buddy Bomar, and we'll have it all figured out for you just as soon as we have had this interesting message. Well, I don't know what there is about this guy Bomar, but every time we get him in here, everybody winds up with heart failure. The winner of the third game, 226 to 209, was Carmen Salvino. The outcome of the match, Buddy took it 645 to 633, winning by a margin of those 12 pins. Let's have, first of all, Carmen Salvino. Come on out, Carm.
Too many bad balls.
$25 for that game, Carmi. $100 for your share of it. Boy, you had it right here there for a minute, didn't you?
Sure, but I threw a bad ball, Joe.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
Paid for it, too.
How many days will it take you to get over this?
I don't know.
Probably go out and practice 15 games tomorrow to see if you can get back, huh?
That's right.
Well, congratulations. It was a
Okay,
real
thank you,
good
Joe.
show. Good to have you. Carmen Salvino. And at 20 years of age, he's got a lot more to look forward to of real good ones, hasn't he? All right, we had one fellow on here who defended 3 times, twice successfully. We had another man who defended twice, and here's a guy who's going to go into his second defense next week, matching the mark of Eddie Kowalik. The first man we spoke of course, was Joe Christoph. So we'll be seeing him next week. Let's have another good last look at him. Buddy Bomar, come on out. $200 for you. And I'll bet after that rail that you caught in the 10th frame, you wouldn't have given a plug nickel for your chances, would you?
No, I was all through, Joe.
Ready to go home and pack up. Huh?
That's right. I must have gotten up under the right sign this morning. I didn't read my horoscope, but I think I'll go home and see what it says.
Well, come on back next week. This fellow we're going to have for you, Mr. Sperando, you're acquainted with him, aren't you?
Yes, he's a very, very fine bowler. He's leading the ABC, you know, and he's got a world of records behind him, a string that long. I hope he doesn't get that many strikes.
Well, you're going to have to practice this next week, huh?
Well, I don't know, Joe. If it's your day to win, you'll win, just like today. I was lucky.
Buddy, to go from your luck for a while, remember a few weeks, I guess it was 6 or 8 weeks ago, we talked about the construction of the alley, and we alluded to the pin deck, but of course we couldn't show it because of the distance involved. And since then, as you know, I've seen this mechanical monstrosity that you use for your lectures, and I thought that thing, if we could set it up here, might make a wonderful way to show the folks that pin deck. Do you suppose we could do it?
I'll go get it, Joe.
Swell. Probably know lectures all over the country, and he has this gadget that he's had made up specially for him, and I think it will serve to illustrate just what that pin deck looks like and what a setup actually looks like. You see it only, you know, as you're looking at it head on, and this thing gives you a really wonderful view of how those pins are put there. Are you all set?
All ready.
Good. I don't know about you folks, but with me, these darn things look so close together when you're seeing it like this. And still I can go in there with anything over a 1-pin spare leave. The ones I'm reasonably consistent on, but if we've got 2 or more, I'm lost. I might just as well concede. If I get them, it's an accident. Now, why is that?
Well, Joe, you're standing, anywhere from, we'll say, 73 to 75 feet away from them, and they do look bunched up back there, but the pins are set up in a 36-inch triangle from the 1 to the 10 and the 10 to the 7 and the 7 to the 1. That's 36 inches apart. Mm-hmm. Now, on each pin, from 1 to the 3, the 6 to the 10, and so on out, they're set on 12-inch centers. Now, when you have a group of spares, we'll say like the 2, 4, 5, and the 8 pin, you've got 22 inches from here to here. That's easy to miss, Joe.
Yeah. And similarly from the 3 to the 9.
That's right. So on out, because they aren't really close together. I say any bowler, regardless of how good he is, when he has more than 1 pin left up, he's got a job on his hands. He still has to bowl good for it.
All right, let's assume that you're shooting for a cluster of one description or another. How do you get them? What do you aim for?
Well, Joe, there is 7, 8, 9, 10 different methods. I use one where I operate on all my spares to shoot every spare that I have on the bowling alley off the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10. Those 4 pins are my target for anything that I leave up after my first ball.
You just aim at these?
Just aim at one of these 4 pins. Now, I'll show you how it works. First, we go into the simple spares. I call them simple spares because they are the 6 and the 10 and the 4 and the 7 and so on out. So first, we'll start with the 10 pin. Now, on your 10 pin, you would naturally move to the left-hand side of the alley so as to give yourself all of the alley width that you could possibly use. You wouldn't think of shooting it from over here if you threw a hook ball because you'd only have 4 or 5 boards there to work in. It would be easy for you to miss.
Yeah.
So you go over here.
Now, wait a minute. Before you go any further, I've noticed some of the fellows on this show, let's say they're shooting for the 10, will be lined up actually outside the gutter. Others of you are a little closer to the center. Now, is there any rule of thumb on that?
Yes, Joe, you should never take your stance. Never take your stance beyond the width of the alley bed. I mean, from this corner to that corner, you should take your stance and do all your bowling in there. For instance, if a guy gets way out over here, way out over the gutter to shoot at the 10 pin, and he shoots at it 3 times on alley 6, he has no trouble. He has room to move. Then all of a sudden, here it is on alley 5, it pops up. Well, he couldn't move over. The ball return would be in his way, and chances are he'd miss it because his angle would be bad.
In other words, in this game, stay just as consistently the same as you possibly can.
That's right. Always within the alley bed.
All
now
right.
then, off of your 10 pin, we're to the extreme left-hand side with our ball coming across the alley and into the 10. It would more or less come at an angle like this. Now, if we left up the 6 with the 10, we'd have the same target. Or if we left the 6 alone, we'd have the same target and same stance. The same thing would hold true to your 4 and the 7. In place of standing here now, you move to the extreme right-hand side again, and your ball would be coming through here more or less, over the 4 spot into the 7. That's the way you'd get the 7. If the 4, 7 are up, it'd be the same target, or the 4 pin alone would be the same target. Now, that takes care of your 4 corner pins.
All right, now let's assume that you're going to shoot at this one. Where do you line up? Still over there on the extreme outside?
No, Joe, when we get into our 8 pin and our 9 pin spares, that takes care of the book of your spares, any combination outside of these over here on the corner. For instance, we'll start now with our 8 pin shot. We'll move 1/3 of the way in. In other words, we'll stand right in front of the 9 pin for the 8. Now then, if we're throwing a hook ball, we'll say first we left up the 2-8. Our ball comes through here. It hits the 2, then it hits the 8. Now then, we'll say that we left up the 1, 2, and the 8. Same target, shooting at the 8 pin. If we left up the old 4-pin cluster, the 2, 4, 5, and 8, same target, 8 pin. Left up the 5-pin cluster, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8, same target. Left up the 4-5 split, same target. We left up the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 7. The 8 pins down. We've still got to come across the 8 spot if we hit it, so we come through here. The 1, 2, 4, same target. All of these are shot off of the 8 pin over here.
I see, because you figure if you are on this in your target, that you are bound to hit these or hit pins that will deflect those pins into the 4 and the 7.
Now then, we move to the opposite side of the alley now to take care of the spares off the 9 pin. The same thing holds true, only for the 9 we stand in front of the 8 pin. Our ball comes through here at all of our spares now. We leave up the 3, 9. We've got to cross over the 3 to get to the 9. We leave up the 1, 3, and the 9, same shot. 3, 5, 6, and 9, same target. 5-pin cluster, same target. 1, 3, 6, same target. 1, 3, 6, 10, same target, so on out. So what you're actually doing, Joe, is you're changing your stance to change your angle to shoot at the pins. The 7 and the 10 form a big cross like that on your stance and your targets. The 8 and the 9 form a little cross for your chance, for your stance and your target.
Quickly, we've got about 30 seconds. On that 1, 2, 10 washout, how the dickens would you get
1,
that?
2, 10, I'd go for the 8 pin, Joe. If my ball hit in between the 1 and the 2, going at the 8 pin, it would throw the 1 into the 10 to the kickback to the 10, or throw it into the 10, the ball would hit in on the 2, and you'd have it made.
I see.
Simple as all that, Joe. I wish we could do it that easy.
Oh, boy. I'll try.
All right.
Thank you very much, buddy. Okay, Buddy Bomar, let's hear it for him. Well, let's see. Where were we? Oh, yes. Next week. Mr. Bomar is going to have to go to it next week, and he's going to have a real opponent up here to make it interesting, and we have just that for you. That opponent next week will be a gentleman out of the East. He is the 13th man ever to shoot a 300 game in the ABC tournament, and also one of the finest bowlers out of the East. I'm sure you all know him, Tony Sperando. So till next week, same time, same station, Joe Wilson. Good bowling, everyone.